And in the wintertime, we move some of these kennels inside to take care of the new litters. That's when we'll have a lot of work to do. But if you care as much about dogs as I do, you won't mind.
Roy, are you sure about this? Are you sure you want to marry me?
I wouldn't have asked you if I wasn't sure. You wait and see. You're going to have a wonderful life here, Judy.
What about you? Are you going to be happy married to me?
I've waited all my life for somebody like you, Judy. Somebody I could take care of, make a home for. I never felt this way before about anybody.
That's why I'm worried, Roy. When a kid falls in love for the first time, it doesn't matter if he gets hurt. But you get hurt bad.
How? How could you ever hurt me? How?
I've told you a dozen times, Roy. I marry you because I'm sick and tired of living in cheap hotel rooms and working in burlesque shows and having two-bit chiselers put their paws on me. You know I don't really love you.
I know you will someday. We're going to be the two happiest people in the whole world.
Private citizens often supply the Treasury Department with information which is invaluable in the detection of income tax evasion. Almost always, these people are motivated by a desire to perform a public service, to assist their government. Now, however, in my role as Chief of the Intelligence Division, Internal Revenue Service, I'm going to tell you about a case in which information was furnished the Treasury Department as an instrument of personal vengeance. This is Treasury File 3840, Internal Revenue Service. The case of the elder brother.
Judy? Jim?
Here's to you.
And here's to my big brother Roy and his pretty little bride-to-be. May they always live in peace and happiness. Raise thousands of pedigreed pups.
You're drinking a little bit too much, ain't you, Jim?
After all, you're going to be married in a couple of weeks. When a man waits 44 long years to get married, it's time to celebrate. Ain't that right, Judy?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Ah, you're getting a great little girl here, Roy. I've only known her a couple of days, but I can tell about a woman right off. You were in show business, weren't you?
Jim, I don't think Judy wants to talk about show business.
It's all right, Roy. I don't mind talking about it, as long as I don't have to go back into it. At least the part I was in.
Now, what part was that? My brother never did tell me whether you're a singer or a dancer or what.
I was in the chorus line, mostly. But I guess I've done just about everything there is to do in a burlesque show.
And now you're going to settle down and play Mother Hubbard to a kennel full of dogs?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Jim. I know you don't care much about the kind of life I lead, but it's what Judy and I want. Isn't it, Judy?
I told you it was, Roy.
Well, what are you getting excited about? I never said there was anything wrong with leading a nice, quiet, decent life. Just ain't for me, that's all.
There's a lot of things that ain't for you, Jim. It's just I don't want the kind of life you want, including your money. At least what I make fair and honest.
Was that supposed to mean I don't?
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, that's what you mean, isn't it? Just because I make good money, I figure it must be crooked.
I know you can't make your kind of money selling costume jewelry.
Oh, you're real smart to figure that out. In fact, that's one of the smartest pieces of figuring you ever did in your whole flea-bitten life.
Roy, I think you better take me home. I'm a little tired.
All right, Judy.
I'll take her. All right, go right past where she lives.
I'll drive her home, Jim.
What's the matter, Roy? Don't you trust your own brother? Don't you think Judy can take care of herself?
It's all right, Roy. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Why did you do that?
Because I've been wanting to all evening, just like you have.
I tried not to.
Well, you couldn't help it. You're not for my brother. You're too much for him.
Roy's good to me, Jim. He's better to me than anybody's been to me in my whole life. If he wants me, I can be happy with him.
Doing what? Manicuring dogs? Washing dishes? Sitting around the fireplace every night?
I never had a fireplace.
That's what I want. Something decent and simple and steady.
And in 2 months, you'll be ready to jump out of your skin. Why not?
Leave me alone.
What's the matter? Afraid you find out you got the wrong guy? You know, I can be steady, too. If all you want's a fireplace.
Will you stop? What are you trying to do? Roy's your own brother. What do you want from me, Jim?
Well, who knows? Maybe I'd like to settle down for a while, too. Maybe I've been kicking around too much with the same kind of people you're fed up with. The grifters and the platinum blondes and the kind of women that just can't wait to get their hooks into your bankroll. Maybe I'd like a new deal, too.
And Roy?
Why should two people let one guy stand in their way?
Jim.
Jim, please, will you leave her alone? For the past 2 weeks, you've done nothing but try to take her away from me. Buying her things, taking her for cocktails, driving her around in your car.
Don't be a chump. I've got a right to be nice to the girl, haven't I? After all, you don't own her.
She doesn't mean a thing to you. If you never saw her again, it wouldn't make that much difference. Can't you just do one decent thing in your life? Stay away from her. You know you're just playing around.
You know what I'm doing. Think I'm just trying to take her away from you for the fun of it? Maybe I like this dame, too.
Jim, you've got no right to like her.
Now, take your hands off me.
I'm warning you.
Take your hands off. Don't ever try that again, or you'll get what you're looking for.
And although it seemed at first as if it might be just a letter from a crank, we did a preliminary check and found out that Roy Weber is a dog breeder who's been doing business in the same community for the past 25 years and has a good reputation.
And he wants us to investigate his own brother's income tax returns.
Apparently, they've had some sort of a disagreement, and this is Roy Weber's way of getting even.
Oh. Well, does the letter contain any detailed information on the amount of the brother's income?
Nothing specific, Clark. But in doing a check of the younger brother's returns, that's Jim Weber, we found several inconsistencies. In the first place, he's never reported an income of over $5,600, which isn't very much for a man whose own brother accuses him of earning 4 or 5 times that much.
I see.
And furthermore, this Jim Weber lists himself as a freelance jewelry salesman working for a number of wholesale jewelry companies. But 2 of the companies he's listed on his tax returns have never heard of him. Now, why do you suppose that a man would claim to have an employer he's never worked for?
Why, attempting to cover up the real source of his income.
Exactly. And if a man is trying to cover up the source, the chances are he's also covering up the amount as well. So run this down, Clark. Find out exactly what Jim Weber does do for a living. And if he's been making more than he's been reporting on his returns, let's get the whole story.
Right, Chief.
No, Mr. Clark. I don't know what company he's actually working for now. I do know he must be working for some company in Dallas because he takes several trips a year to Dallas.
And he never mentioned the people he deals with down there?
No, sir.
Well, what about bank accounts, Mr. Weber? Do you know where your brother banks?
No, I don't. Mr. Clark, do I have to keep answering all these questions?
You asked us to make an investigation, didn't you? I assumed you'd be willing to help us.
Well, I am. After all, he's my brother. I wouldn't want him to get in any real trouble. I mean, like going to jail.
Just what do you want, Mr. Weber?
I don't know. I was pretty upset when I wrote that letter, and well, he and I had an argument about something, and I was trying to scare him. I was trying to keep him from walking all over me. I didn't realize you'd go this far.
We go as far as we have to, Mr. Weber. Now, to get back to your brother. In your letter, you mentioned the fact
Further questioning of Roy Weber revealed little about his brother Jim's financial dealings, but Agent Clark was able to obtain a general picture of brother Jim's standard of living. His rent was high, he drove an expensive car, and he spent a good deal of money on his clothes. However, the manner in which he earned this money was more or less of a mystery. Checking with acquaintances and storekeepers in the neighborhood in which Weber lived, Clark learned that Weber was known as a jewelry salesman, presumably for a company in Dallas, Texas. But in Dallas, his name was not known at the hotels where he might have registered, nor by department stores, buyers, and wholesale jewelers who might have purchased his wares.
Judy, you're making a mistake. I'm not saying that because I want you for myself. It's for your sake, too. Jim's no good for you. You've got to stop seeing him anymore. Got to stop thinking about him.
I'm afraid I can't, Roy. Jim and me, we're going to be married.
Married?
I'm in love with him, Roy. Really in love with him. That's what I've been trying to tell you all week long, only I couldn't figure out a way of saying it so it wouldn't hurt.
You're in love with him? Jim?
That's the way I said it to myself when I realized what was happening to me. It's really kind of nutty, me falling in love after all I've been through, especially with a guy like Jim. I'm not really too different from you, Roy. I know Jim doesn't care about me the way you do. Only I got to take my chances.
Don't do it, Judy. Please.
I'm sorry, Roy. I'm sorry. If there was any other way, I'd do it.
You're not really in love with him. You just fall for a lot of talk, a lot of fancy words, promises that he'll never keep.
No, Roy. It's not like that at all.
Well, then what is it? Well, Judy, I've got just as much money as he has. Maybe more. I've got all kinds of money.
Really?
I never told you before because I didn't think that's what you wanted.
Honey, no.
I've got $86,000 hidden right there in a strong box under the floor. And it's all yours, every penny. If you'll just stay with me, if you'll just be my wife.
I'm surprised at you, Roy. I thought you knew me better than that.
Judy, look, don't you believe me? Don't you believe I've got it? I'll show it to you.
No, Roy. I believe you. I only wish you could believe me.
Let's have a toast.
No, we don't want to drink. What'd you call us up and ask us to come over here for? Don't you know we're leaving for Dallas in a few minutes?
Dallas? Going to Dallas on your honeymoon?
That's where we're going to be married, Roy, tonight.
Married? Well, why don't you get married right here in town? Plenty of places right here in town. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stand up with you. I'll be your best man.
Now, look, Roy, don't be funny.
What's the matter? What are you stalling for? If you're really going to marry her...
Hey, shut your
Jim,
mouth.
please. He's been drinking.
Sure, I've been drinking. Time to celebrate, isn't it? My brother's getting married. My best girl, too. What a coincidence.
Oh, come on, let's go, Judy.
Wait a minute. I want to tell you something before you go. I want to tell you something and you'll remember. You treat her right. Because if you give her a dirty kick...
Oh, come on, we can't waste any more time. If we don't get out of here, we'll miss the plane. But come on.
The plane which Jim Weber and Judy King boarded for Dallas that morning was also boarded by Agent Clark, who had been keeping Weber under surveillance for the past week in an effort to learn the true source of Weber's income. Upon their arrival in Dallas, Clark followed the pair to an expensive hotel where they engaged separate rooms. Clark questioned the desk clerk and found a possible answer to the mystery surrounding Weber's unaccountable disappearances upon arriving in Dallas on previous trips. Jim Weber had used a different name. In this case, Bud Regan. Since Weber had registered as Bud Regan several times before and was known to the desk clerk by this name, Clark began an immediate investigation of Mr. Bud Regan's financial activities. It was soon learned that Regan had 2 large accounts in local banks and was moderately well known as an oil prospector, a man who dabbled in speculative oil leases and was believed to have a substantial interest in a wildcat company known as the Dawson Oil Company. Without divulging the purpose of his investigation, Clark asked to see the company's books, and his request was immediately granted.
You've had pretty good luck with your company, haven't you, Mr. Dawson? I see here that you've been pumping over 500,000 barrels of oil since you made your first strike.
Yeah, we've been doing all right. We're going to do twice as good from now on. Just brought in 3 new wells up on Stony Ridge. It's going to mean a great big extra dividend for all the stockholders.
That's fine. Who are your stockholders? Do you have a list of them here?
Yeah, I guess I got a list of them. Ain't many to keep track of. Just me and my sister's boy, Reb, and my 2 original partners.
Who are they?
My partners?
Yeah.
Well, Neil Granby, he's one of them. He used to be my barber. He gave me $2,000 for a third interest, and has paid him back over 100%.
And the other?
The other what?
A partner. What's his name?
Oh, Regan, Bud Regan. Now, he used to be a jewelry salesman. Come in with me for a flyer on my first one, and has paid him back, $250,000.
I see. And you're certain that Bud Regan and Jim Weber are one and the same person? All right, Clark. Find out just how much money this Regan has been making. And when you have the evidence, we'll move for an indictment.
Told you why. 15 times I told you why I couldn't get the marriage license yesterday. I had to go up to Stony Ridge and see those new wells Dawson brought in. And a million other things to take care of.
A million things more important than a marriage license?
Oh, look, honey, I haven't even had time to unpack yet. What's your hurry? We're going to be married for a long time.
Are we?
Well, if you're going to spend all your time nagging me about it, you get the license. Make all the arrangements yourself if you don't want to wait for me to do it.
Is that the only reason you put it off, because you're too busy?
What are you driving at?
Because I'd like to know the truth about a couple of things. I'd like to know why everybody here knows you as Bud Regan instead of Jim Weber. What is all this anyway?
Now, look, Judy. I ain't on the witness stand with you, and I ain't ever gonna be. That's why I figured we'd be able to hit it off together. Because you and me ain't exactly saints. If you married a guy that wasn't strictly on the up and up, it wouldn't matter too much to somebody like you.
You mean I'm no good myself, so I can't be choosy about the kind of guy I pick for a husband?
Well,
That is what you meant, wasn't it? I got no right to anything good or decent. I'm just somebody you fished out of the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, now come off it, will you? You're talking like you didn't know what the score was. You know why you fell for me? Because you knew I was in the chips.
If that's what I'd have wanted, I'd have stayed with your brother Roy. At least he'd have treated me like I was somebody, not like a piece of trash.
Sure. He'd have treated you fine. Till he got sick of living on beans and hash and he'd have walked out on him.
Now listen to me, Jim. Your brother doesn't have to live like that. He's got just as much money as you have, maybe a lot more. He's got $86,000 stashed away in his living room. He wanted to give it to me, every penny of it, just so I wouldn't run away with you.
Well, if that's the way you feel, you go ahead and take it.
Excuse me. Mr. Regan?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, my name is Clark, Internal Revenue Service. May I come in?
What do you want?
I want to talk to you about your income tax, Mr. Regan.
Come on in.
Thank you.
Now, what's this all about? I always pay my income tax.
Under the name of Regan? We have no record of your ever having filed a return.
Well, Regan isn't my right name, but I always file a return. My real name's Jim Weber.
And as Jim Weber, you report your total earnings and pay taxes on them.
That's right.
What about the money you make as Regan? Do you pay those taxes too?
Who says I earn any money as Regan? I just come down here for my vacations.
Is that all you have to say? Is that the only statement you care to make at this time? I spent the entire afternoon with the accountants of the Dawson Oil Company.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, who told you about them? Who's been talking to you about me?
Well, quite a number of people, Mr. Regan.
Now, well, who? Somebody put you up to this, and I want to know who it is. Oh, who told you about me? My brother. Is that who it was? Well, let me tell you something, mister. The last laugh isn't going to be on me.
Judy, what are you doing here?
Could I come in, Roy?
Oh, sure. Where's Jim?
You were right about him. He turned out just like you said.
Then you didn't get married?
No. I guess I made a mistake, didn't I?
How can you live without making mistakes?
Is it too late, Roy? Is it too late for us, or have I ruined that too?
I'm not mad at you, Judy. Well, I just don't know whether it'd work out anymore.
I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to take me back. At least you wouldn't have to worry about my walking out on you anymore. I know what a fool I've been.
You want me back, Judy? You really want to live here and be my wife and give me another chance to make you happy?
Roy, I want you to give me another chance. Will you?
You know I will. Well, hello, Mr. Clark. You want to see me?
How are you, Mr. Weber?
Bet your life he wants to see you.
Jim!
Go ahead, Mr. Clark. Ask him about the money.
What money?
Money I invested for you in the Dawson Oil Company.
What?
Oh, come on. Quit stalling. You know how much money I made you on that oil deal? Over $200,000. This man from the Treasury Department thinks I got that money myself. He doesn't know you're the one that got all the profits. Not me.
Your brother claims that he was merely your representative, Mr. Weber. That you're the one who owns a 1/3 interest in the Dawson Oil Company, and that you're the one who should have paid the taxes, not he.
That's crazy.
Oh, is it? Now, don't try to pull a fast one, Roy. You've still got a big chunk of that money, and you got it hidden right here in this room somewhere. Judy told me so.
I'm sorry, honey. I didn't think it'd get you into any trouble.
Now, come on. Get out that strong box, Roy. Show this man who's been getting the money from that oil company.
It won't work, Jim. You're just trying to blame me for something you did yourself.
Do you have money hidden here on the premises, Mr. Weber?
Well, yes, I have some money. I always keep a little money on hand. Here it is. $150.
You told Judy you had $86,000.
Yes, I know I told her that. That's all I've got is $150. Here, it's all here. You can count it if you like.
Mr. Weber, have you any more evidence to prove that you never made a profit on the Dawson Oil Company?
Well, I could have been wrong about that strong box, but now, that doesn't mean I got the money myself. He's still the man you're looking for.
Mr. Weber, I made this trip out here because you insisted that you were innocent. Now I suggest that you get in touch with your lawyer.
Yeah, I'll do that little thing.
Sorry to have troubled you, sir.
It's all right.
Despite Jim Weber's persistent efforts to involve his brother in the case, the government easily proved that Jim Weber not only earned the money he failed to report on his income tax returns, but was also successful in making an additional profit on stock and grain market speculations. Upon his conviction in a federal court, Weber was ordered to pay $171,000 in back taxes and fines, and was sentenced to 4.5 years in the federal penitentiary, where he is still serving his term.